Hello, everybody, and welcome to episode 38 of the Mingled Yarncast. I am your host, Stephen, also known as KnitFen on Instagram and Ravelry. Follow me there, follow me here, subscribe, like, and all the rest. I'm so glad you're with me. It's been a couple of weeks, 2 weeks, I think, since the last video, roughly, and a lot has happened since then. I've finished some objects, I've started some new things. Thanksgiving happened, and I don't know about you, but I am at the end of the leftovers and also at the end of my wits with the leftovers. I'm ready for something else. But no, it was wonderful, wonderful holiday. Spent a lot of time with friends and family, ate delicious food, and I hope you did too, if you are in the US and celebrating Thanksgiving, I should say. Yeah, so I've got, like I said, quite a lot to show you. We'll start with the mystery knit-along, the Westknits Mystery MusiKAL knit-along, because mine is finally finished. What is today? November 30th? So, you know, a month later. I actually finished it maybe 2 weeks ago, but I did not weave in my ends until 2 days ago, and that took a while. So anyway, I will show you the finished piece here in a moment, but before I do that, I wanted to take a moment because it occurred to me as I was writing out my notes for this particular episode that, you know, I've mentioned this at the beginning of this whole project of the Mingled Yarncast. If you watched the intro episode that I made ages ago when I had no idea what I was doing or really even how to edit or do anything with the video software, I, of course, mentioned that the name of this podcast or vlog or whatever we call it these days comes from a line from Shakespeare's All's Well That Ends Well. The line is, "The web of our life is of a mingled yarn, the good and ill together." And from that, I pulled that mingled yarn bit and turned it into the Mingled Yarn Cast. And even though the quote is actually saying that, you know, our lives are filled with good things and bad things, and the bad things make us appreciate the good things more, and the good things make us able to have to deal with the bad things better. That's what it means in the context. But I've just sort of heard the mingled yarn bit and thought, you know, our lives are of a mingled yarn in lots of other ways too. All the different things that we pursue and dream of and do in the course of a life. You know, most of us out here are doing a whole lot of interesting and different, various and sundry things. So that is the concept behind this whole series, in case you were wondering, because you're new, or in case you forgot, because I haven't mentioned it in a long time. I haven't made such a big deal about it. But that's the name. That's where it came from. And I share this in part as well because if you watched my Rhinebeck recap episode, I mentioned that several podcaster friends were giving away buttons and gauges and things like that to have right here, the Table 10 podcast button. And at the time I said on the video, you know what? I need some merch. I need some buttons. And so I played around. Can you hear that fun sound? I probably have to put the mic near it. Played around on ChatGPT to try to come up with something fun that would encapsulate the ethos of this podcast. And I had a good time with this. I wanted something that involved Shakespeare and knitting because, again, if you're new, you may not know this. If you've been around a while, you do know that I am also an English and theater teacher. So I spend a lot of my time acting, directing, and reading plays, and Shakespeare's one of my favorites. So that's the other reason I pulled the name from this for this show from his work, because, you know, I'm completely unoriginal. But anyway, he stole lots of things too, so it's okay. Anyhow, here it is. Here's the button. Ta-da! I'm going to see if I can get this to show you without the glare. There he is. Did you know that old Bill was a knitter? Well, neither did he. But here we go. Now, funny thing about this button. I played around with a few different iterations of the image, and it did a very good job. I said I wanted the Chandos portrait and I wanted him to be knitting. I wanted the colors to involve some orange in some way. And the first image was perfect. It was absolutely perfect, except that it was kind of rectangular and it wouldn't fit neatly onto a button. So then I had it fixed to be circular so that it would be button worthy, button-esque. Anyway, and what I didn't notice, seriously, I didn't notice this until I hit the button on the website to create the thing and pay for it, that the initial image had him knitting perfectly. But this is AI, as you know, and it makes a lot of mistakes. So if you look closely, is he really knitting there? Well, you might say no. You might think, oh, Stephen, how could you make such a mistake? But really, did I? Or is he just working on a Westknits shawl where he had to pick up a lot of stitches along the side? I'm pretty sure that's what's happening there. I think AI knew that, and I think Shakespeare, like the spirit of Shakespeare, was in the computer, the ghost in the machine, and he wanted to be knitting a Westknits shawl. So that's what's happening there. No mistake, just a happy accident. Anyway, I'm going to be giving these out, as I attend different things at Vogue Knitting Live, probably next. And in 2026, I want to try to get to more festivals. I've only really gotten to attend ones that are within a hour-and-a-half radius, so I want to travel a little further, a little wider, and yeah, if I see you there, this could go home with you, one of these. I'm really, really pleased with it, and I've got 100 of them, so yeah, merch, yay, merch. Okay, so there's that. Now, this episode, as I said, I'm going to talk to you about the Mystery MusiKAL shawl, but that shawl, that piece itself, I've spent so much time just staring at it in kind of wonder and awe at the design and at the way the colors mix and mingle as you go through the piece. It's really stunning, and I don't say that as a testament to my own knitting prowess. I say that as testament to the genius of the design by Stephen West. So yeah, it just forces these colors to work in different ways together. And I love it. I really, really love it. And it got me really thinking about color theory, because I know nothing about it. I've never studied art in any focused academic way. I've only been amateur aficionado or appreciator of art. And yeah, so I don't know things like color theory. In fact, I only recently kind of became aware that that was a thing, maybe within the last 2 or 3 years. So yeah, the piece got me thinking about that more and wanting to learn more. So I'm going to talk about that. We're going to talk about what I have learned about color theory. Not a whole lot, but I'm going to share with you some books and resources that I've been poring over. And yeah, that'll be our starting point. And after that, you will see the Sophie shawl that I have made. And also, I'm about a third of the way done, maybe a quarter of the way done with the Forest Park cardigan. So I will show you that too. So that's what's ahead. And then some other things, because this is the Mingled Yarncast, and it's not all knitting, it's just 80-20. So the 20 of music and performance will come at the end. In case you don't care to see that, I will do the knitting first. No judgments. Okay. Now, let's see here. Oh, you know what? I do have something else I want to talk about first, because I've gotten some very interesting things in the mail recently. Just today, I really just opened this an hour ago. I got the latest volume of the Journal of Scottish Yarn. And funny, because I was already planning to talk about color and color theory. And look at that cover, how colorful that is, and the playfulness of that design. Really, really cool. Or designs, I should say, the mitts too. And so I've not had a chance to sit down and read through this one yet, but it is, I've mentioned it before, and I know several people have ordered it themselves. It is a wonderful resource all about what it says it is, Scottish yarns and Scottish textile industry history and animal husbandry, and they do often a profile on a different native sheep variety. There are always wonderful, wonderful pictures, excellent articles, and really fun designs in the whole second half. So yeah, really looking forward to reading through this. I may have more to say about it as I do, but as I say, that just came in the mail today, so I'm sharing it with you now. You can get yours via their website, which I will put in the show notes. Okay, second thing that I got in the mail recently, which was a total surprise, was this packet. It is a double-pointed sock needle set from Knitter's Pride. And this was a raffle prize from, if you will recall, in the Rhinebeck episode also, I mentioned that we went to the yarn farm in Kingston. Let me show you their card here. There we go. Yarn Farm Kingston. And it's a yarn shop and wine bar, as their card indicates. Wonderful combination of things to sell. And they had a raffle. They were raffling off a bunch of different things, and you could buy raffle tickets and I think I bought 3, and I put them in the 3 different envelopes for the 3 different prizes that I liked the most. The funny thing, though, is if you had asked me, well, you can go ahead and ask me what were the 3 things that I put them in. Apparently one of them was this. The other 2 I don't remember. And I couldn't have told you any of them if you'd asked me a few days ago. But on the November 12th, I think it was, the yarn farm called me to let me know that I was one of the winners of this beautiful sock needle set, double pointed needle sock needle set. And they left a message, and I didn't realize I even had a message until about 8 days later. And I called. I was like, "Oh no, I got a prize, but maybe they've given it away now because I didn't call soon enough." So turns out they had not given it away, even though they sent this very nice note. It says, "Enjoy. Sorry for the delay in getting your prize to you." But it's really not their fault. It's my fault. So I take that on myself. But I'm glad that I called, because let's check this out. It's upside down. Look at that. How many double-pointed sock needles can you put in one, one little case? Turns out, I think there's 11, or there 12. 12 sets, different sizes from 0 to 9. It's like 0, 1, 1.5, 2, 2.5, and then 3 to 9. And yeah, I'm super excited about this. I am the type of person that typically does things on cables if I'm doing socks, just for ease of travel and whatnot. But I occasionally do them on double pointed needles, as you know, if you've watched a while. Sometimes just for fun. It is a cool thing to be able to use these skillfully. And the problem that I have, though, is that I often lose them. And so I'm excited to have this set to keep everything organized, because yeah, if I go through my stash of notions and needles and things, like, there's double pointed needles all over the place. Why? I don't know, but that is what tends to happen. So I'm excited about this, and it also comes with a little needle gauge, some stitch markers in fun Mardi Gras colors. Look at that. And anyhow, sorry, trying to close this back up. Anyhow, thank you, Yarn Farm. It was really quite a beautiful surprise to get your call and then very quickly get this in the mail just a couple of days later. So I'm excited about that. I will be sharing this in the future as I continue to work with it. So thank you. Now, let's see. Oof. Done the intro, merch, mail. Now, okay, we are on to the moment that you've all been waiting for, I presume. Here it is, and how to even display this monster of a piece. It is so big. Okay. So I think it measures about 8.5 feet long. It's longer than I am tall, that's for sure, very sure. And I'm just going to hold it here for a minute, and hopefully you can hear me since I've got the mic on. I'm going to try to show you the different parts as it moves by the screen. And by now, I'm sure most of you have seen plenty of different versions of this shawl. I am not the first to complete it, that's for sure. And it's let's see here. I'm gonna see if I can wrap myself with it. It's got so much going on, and it was a lot of fun. It was a lot of fun. A lot of people. Let me see if I can get back far enough that you can see more of it. Okay. This section 3 here, a little controversial. At the time when we were all just making it, this section here has so many curves and yeah, just beautiful arc lines. And then this section is all angles and squares, right? Rhombuses and straight lines, and yeah, it's a total clash in some ways of style. But when you see it as a whole, like looking at it right now on the screen, um, God, I really love how it works together. I think it's so cool. It's really just a lot of fun. And so, no surprise, Stephen West's design is genius. That goes pretty much without saying. But, well, it does need to be said, perhaps, because I can't imagine. I would be really stressed out if I were putting out, and this would go for anybody who designs a mystery knit along, but I would be stressed out about just each section, putting this out there for people to do, worrying that there's a typo, worrying that it's going to be horrendous, and of course, in this case, knowing that by the end everything's going to work out, but having people freak out midway that would upset me. That would make I'd find that hard to deal with. So will I ever design a mystery knit along? Time will tell. I'm not so sure. But anyhow, yeah. So as I was saying, I really, really like the color, and I thank all of the people who, when I posted online, quite a few people have said that I have a brilliant eye for color. Well, okay, let's talk about that. I have moments of inspired color choice that I would say, yes, this really, really works well. But not always. And a lot of times it's really haphazard. And sometimes I've made color choices that absolutely did not work out. And that's why, as I said before, I want to actually study color theory a bit so that I can make informed choices versus ones that are entirely intuitive, even though sometimes my intuition is correct. It isn't always. So yeah, I would like to just know more. So, but getting to that, I would like to also have you recall that, okay, sorry, the screen went blank there. Just making sure we're all still here. Have you recall that when I was choosing the colors for this, I asked all of you to weigh in, and I had a idea. I had a palette that I was going to do, which was the safe palette, which was all the colors you see here except for the orange. The orange would have been replaced with a purple, and I probably would have reordered things so that where you see orange now, you would have seen the yellow. Where you see the yellow, you would have seen the purple. But the purple and the blue and the green were so close to each other that this would just be a very, very different piece. I mean, obviously that goes without saying, but it would not be the festive, joyful piece that this is. It's like the happiest shawl I've ever made. It just makes me smile. So yeah. So I wouldn't have made that choice if I hadn't put it out there to all of you and several people that had completely other ideas for the palette as well. Obviously, I had to make a choice on my own in the end, but I took people's suggestions to heart, and that is why I mixed this particular palette. And yeah, so it was a group effort, not just me. And now that it's complete, here's some things that I just kind of stare at all the time that boggle my mind. So if you look, I want you to stare at the orange for a bit. I'm sorry, you're not going to see my face for the moment because I want to get this up close for you to see. So if you stare at the orange on your screen, um, it's the exact same orange, right? And I have a ring light right now, bright light that's shining on this. So it's illuminated, but it's sitting behind the blue on the lower level there, down here. And here it's sitting on top of the yellow. So the orange is in this brioche section, the orange is the, I don't know what we call that, the right side color. And anyhow, um, it to me, to my eye, it looks like two different oranges, even though it's right next to each other and it ought to look the same, but it doesn't. So that's where I got really interested in how these colors interact. Here too, you can see there's the blue and the green. Oh, and look at that. I've shown you the one place where I made a huge glaring mistake. Right there. Big old scar in my brioche. Oh well. The piece is a mile long, and for the most part, you wouldn't notice that unless I put it right in front of your face. But anyway, yeah. So the way that the blue and the green work as well, if you compare it to here in this section, they just appear in different quantities. I don't know if you can see this on the screen. Maybe you can't, but because of their order, it just has different effects on the eyes, even though there's roughly the same amount of each in those different stitches. So anyway, yeah, I look at that. Oh, here's another fun part. I talked about this when we talked about Clue 1, but the orange here just kind of simmers beneath, and this is the color C, that he said would have a solo moment later. I'm not so sure I see the solo happening. I don't know where that was meant to be, but I will say this. When the whole piece is finished, I mean, for the most part, at least on this side of the shawl, the orange, I think, is the dominant color. It's the thing your eye goes to first. I think on this side, the yellow is the dominant. But if you look at that final orange and yellow border that goes around the whole thing, then that does make the orange dominate mostly. Let me stand up again here. Because if you're wearing it, well, I don't know, maybe the side border is not the first thing that you see, but anyhow. What I'm trying to say is that the outer border of brioche is the longest section of any one feature in this shawl, and it being the orange and yellow, therefore the orange dominates. So, like I say, again, look at all this and try to picture the purple in here. I know I don't have it in front of me to show you, but I don't know, having the two darker blue and green and the two brighter orange and yellow, I think that really set the tone. And it was fun. It was really a fun piece. Now, I sorry, I need to take a sip of my tea here. Today, it's out of the Mozart mug, purchased in Salzburg when this was filled with Mozartkugeln, which are little chocolates. Okay. So, speaking of Mozart, I had mentioned in the beginning, before I even cast on this project, that I was, because it was a mystery MusiKAL, I was thinking of musical inspirations for the color palette. And at the time, I was thinking I was going to work with the color palettes from various posters of A Little Night Music, which is the Sondheim musical, not to be confused with Eine kleine Nachtmusik, which is Mozart. No, A Little Night Music. And the colors did match several different, sort of an amalgam of the different posters that exist out there. And when I started knitting it up, I was like, oh, holy moly, this does not, nothing about this piece says A Little Night Music. It says a lot of things, but not that. Let me hold it up this way a bit so you can maybe see it in a different direction. See how the colors play a little differently. Where's just the middle, roughly? It's hard to know. Okay, yeah. So, when I'm looking at this, I'm hearing a lot of different things. None of them, as I say, a waltz. Um, I made a list. I thought I really had this vision of making almost like a musical video of different songs and sort of filming the shawl in different modes for you. But, well, for one thing, I don't know how to use music correctly when you're making a video. You know how when you see videos of people like watching a music video and reacting to it? Well, anytime that I put any music at all and you try to upload the video, it takes a long time to decide if the piece that you have included is under any copyright. And sometimes, especially it happens more with shorts, if I make something not using YouTube's app, um, and not using their music library, then quite often it is said like this is not safe for all regions. I'm like, oh, okay, and it won't show things in Belarus, for example. That one comes up a lot. Sorry, people of Belarus, but anyhow, yeah, and I've had ones where like a year later it said, okay, you're cleared. There will be no legal action taken on this video. We'll post it. And I'm like, legal action? That was a possibility? And yeah, so I don't know how people end up using music that's under copyright, which is most things, um, in their videos. If you have knowledge about that, then tell me, because maybe one day I will take the pieces of music that I thought of with this shawl, and I will make that little music video for you. As it is right now, I'm just going to tell you some of the pieces that came to mind as I was working on this. So, firstly, I was getting. Hold on, I made a list. Okay, because of all of the I don't know. There's a lot of sonic features happening here. Not that I'm like a person that experiences synesthesia, who sees colors and hears notes, but in this one you kind of do because of all the wavy that and all of the sort of like brash. The first thing that came to mind with this piece was Gershwin's An American in Paris. So that piece, how does it start? It's got the like yum bum ba yum bum ba yum bum 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 ba lots of car horns. So there's all kinds of rhythm and chaos happening, and it's an organized chaos, much like this shawl. So yeah, An American in Paris, that was the first thing that came to mind. And then kind of similar to that, if you are of an age, you may have grown up watching Pee-wee's Big Adventure, like I did. Pee-wee Herman, bike gets stolen. He goes all across America trying to find it. Looks in the basement of the Alamo. It's not there. Although, okay, this is completely random, but this is the Mingled Yarncast, so I guess that's okay. Did you know that his bike from that movie is now on display at the Alamo? That's perfect. That's just perfect to me. However, still not in the basement because I think the Alamo still does not have a basement. Although maybe they built a basement just to show the bike. Anyhow, that's funny if you've seen the movie. If you haven't, then you're probably sitting there going, "What in the world is he talking about?" But anyway, in that movie, Danny Elfman did the score, and the opening number is Pee-wee getting ready for breakfast with this sort of like all of these different Rube Goldberg type contraptions that are serving him. If you watch Wallace and Gromit, it's kind of like that. I think they pulled from Pee-wee when they made some of those scenes in that show series. But anyhow, yeah, Danny Elfman has a score that underscores the whole thing, and it's like very bright and peppy and a little mechanical, and a lot of driving force behind it. How does it go? It's like oh yeah, it starts off, well, I don't know how it starts off, but it has moments where it's like do 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 do, and then it gets into a really brash So you're getting a music video anyway, and I don't have to worry about copyright. So yay. Anyhow, those are the first two things that I thought of. But then I was trying to think if there are uh, more sort of rock pop influences, and where I feel like there's a lot happening here. There's a lot of Beatles in here, not like hand clappy, she loves you, yeah, 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 Beatles, but later Beatles when they've got all kinds of crazy instrumentations and strings and horns and that kind of stuff. Sort of Eleanor Rigby, maybe. Think of, oh, look at all the lonely people. So I'm seeing Beatles in there, Sergeant Peppery, that kind of vibe. Um, so there's that. Then I started to think, is there maybe any classical influence? Even though I was saying at first this feels very 20th century, could there be some Mozart? And I thought maybe like the opening of The Marriage of Figaro, which, how does that one go? It's kind of, you know, okay, I'm gonna stop. So anyhow, whatever the influence is, it's got lots going on. That's for sure. This piece is not a simple ballad. It is not just an aria. It is not. It's not modern pop music. No, this is complex. It takes some time to sit with it. It's the kind of piece that maybe the first time an audience hears it, people don't love it. They go, huh? And then time goes by and it suddenly becomes one of the most beloved pieces of all time. And Stravinsky. And so I feel like this piece probably will become a very beloved piece. I already know people that have made more than one, and I think it will go on to have a very interesting life. So this is my Mystery MusiKAL 2025. Now, okay, that was long-winded. I didn't really fully expect to sing for you today, and I hope you enjoyed that. Continuing then with the color theory. So that piece, this piece, got me thinking more about color. And I went online and I did a little research and I found this book, The Interaction of Color by Josef Albers. And it's described as being a classic, a common text in art schools. I don't know if that's still true today, but this is the 50th anniversary edition, and it's really, really interesting. So that he writes, it's written in these little sections. Each chapter is not really a chapter, and it's just a few pages with where he looks at different positions of color, and at first it's all text. Now, obviously, with something it's all about color, you want something visual that you're going to see. But the back section features all of the examples that are done in colored paper and photographed, and they're really, really cool. For example, let me show you a good one. He's very interested in the ways that like a single color, like I was showing with the orange, how it can look different in different contexts. So here, for example, I think, yeah, this is one where the middle squares are the same color, but they appear different in the context of what surrounds them. And the opposite of that, um, you can take two different colors that you can make them look the same. But if you were to sort of look at that blue and now look at that brown, you would realize that they're actually not the same color. Ooh, it seems to move on the screen. I don't know if that's just me seeing that or if you can see that as well. But anyway, all kinds of things where he looks at different um, aspects of the volume of a color, the light, the pigmentation, how they interact, and what, well, not so much what works and what doesn't, because that's very relative to what you're doing, of course, but why things work the way they work. And I'm really very curious to spend more time with it and hopefully, like I said, make some more informed choices. So I want to talk actually just a moment about some of the choices that I've made color-wise in the past. So I'm wearing right now this 1999 pullover by Jen Geigley, which well, I made two of these, and they're the two sweaters I think I wear the most. The first one that I made is this one, and you can see I made it using 4 colors, and they repeat the sequence that they're in, and it gives a kind of a waving effect as it goes from light to dark. And both of these are made with yarn from Harrisville Designs. And I want to say just something about this yarn unrelated to the color, because I've had people comment that the sweaters are very soft, and their experience in sort of just handling the Harrisville Design yarns in person was that they felt a little crunchy and not so soft. But truly, over time, they become very, very wearable and very comfortable. Right now, I am wearing this sweater with nothing underneath it, just the sweater. So it's against the skin, and I'm completely comfortable in it. It's very, very nice. Yeah, I love it. It's really, really a great yarn. So shout out to them. You should definitely check them out. If you were ever thinking about using Harrisville Designs, you should. So anyway, I made this one first, and when I was done, I liked it so much, and I made it so quickly. It took like 3 weeks, that I had some extra yarn of these colors. And then I also had a whole other sweater set of Harrisville Design yarn in this sort of magenta or maroon, burgundy, and purple. So I only had those 2 colors. I didn't want to make a 2-color 1999, but I thought, what if I use these leftovers and see what can be done? So that's how this sweater was born. So this one there was no thought behind it. I was just using leftover materials. But after I finished it, I should say, I I found I liked it. Well, I won't say I like it better. I like it for different reasons. This one there's a harmony to it, and there's a real I don't know, I take a real delight in the sequence of the colors and the way they make me feel. But this one is a little more complex, actually, with the coloring. And I will show you here. What always catches my eye are these stripes of the sort of chartreuse. In this sweater, I think they come across as very yellow when they're in the company of the red and the purple. Whereas on this one, it comes across as a very light green, and because it's in the company of greens and blacks and this white color. So this very sweater kind of allows your eyes to play around with the different colors and to experience the ways that they shift and change. For example, the green here and the green here look very different. Here, I feel like it's richer and darker. Here, a little bit lighter. And look at the black too, here and here. So same color, different things happening. I always get comments on this sweater whenever I wear it. I think it comes across as kind of unusual, the coloring, which I like. And it's not a palette that I typically would have come up with if I didn't just have these things sitting around and felt like doing whatever. So I surprised myself with it a little bit, but I really, really do love it. So this is a case where I feel like both of these were inspired choices, and I did a good job. But I have other sweaters, which I also love and also wear, but over time I've begun to think I would change some things. So first is this one. This is the Vaengjatok sweater. It's by Vitas Jonsdottir, and it is a Lopipesa design, but not made with Lopipesa yarn. It was made with Flying Fibers yarn from Pennsylvania, and I love the yarn. It was the first. I bought this yarn at my very first Rhinebeck, and I just bought it without a pattern in mind. So I found the pattern later, and I really I wear it. I wore it today actually. I was wearing it earlier, so I do wear this sweater quite a bit. The yarn is wonderful. It's so smooth over time and soft. And the colors, it's very interesting. Right now on the screen with the light shining on them, I like how it looks. And when I wore this in Iceland in photographs, I really liked how it looks. But actually, when you see it in person, um, without a light shining on it, there is no, there's very little distinction, I should say, between this orange and this oatmeal color. They're hard to see with the naked eye. And there's yellow in there, if you can see it, but you will miss it in a lot of different places. For example, here, if I back this up, you can't see it at all. At least I don't think you can. And so anyhow, yeah, now that I know more about sort of Norwegian motifs or Scandinavian motifs and the color play that goes on between them, now I would make very different choices with this design and also with this yarn. But at the time, so what was interesting though too is that the yarn skeins, when I put them all next to each other, they looked like they would go together beautifully. And they probably would have perhaps in this design if I did them all with stripes, but I didn't. And yeah, so it was just the wrong design, I think, for this particular yarn, even though it is lovely in its way and beloved. And like I said, I do wear it, so it gets seen. But yeah, I would change some things. Another one that I wear quite a lot, and I've shown here many, many times. This is my Fall River vest, designed by Mary Jane Mucklestone and done in yarn from the Scottish Yarn Festival. I love these colors. I love this piece. I love the pattern. I love everything about it. But as time has gone on, and I've worn it multiple times, I've come to wish that I had not done the maroon stripe in the middle here, where it goes from like a light orange to a dark orange. I wish that I had used a much darker red orange, for example. That would have completed kind of the sunset effect. I don't mind the maroon here in the X's and O's in the little Peary stripe, but I really don't like it here in the middle of all of that. And now, of course, I was just following the order of colors that are suggested in the design. I didn't feel like I knew enough to switch things up. So, I could have possibly done a different color there. Well, maybe I couldn't have because I didn't really have the yarn with me. But anyhow, yeah. So like I said, I still wear this a lot, and it gets a lot of compliments, and it is lovely and warm, and just a real stunner of a piece. But it's those little things that now I think, were I to make it again, I'd make some different choices. And I want to show you now a second book, because where did it go? I thought I had all of my props in alignment here. It was right next to me, because of course it was. But anyway, after I mentioned Mary Jane Mucklestone a few times today. She was the person leading the workshop that she went deeply into color theory, or at least the concept of it, not deep into the theories themselves, but she was the one that made me really think about it. And she designed the vest, and she also wrote this book. So this is a great book to have if you are somebody that does a lot of color work, because as you can see, it's 200 Farrow motifs. But yes, there's the motifs themselves. I'm trying to find the best way to show you things here. But also, there's just all these different arrangements of colors. So it's a good book to have, even if you're not somebody that loves doing Fair Isle work, but let's say you do striped sweaters like this one, and mix colors in other ways. just to see what works together, because she has a wonderful eye. And anyway, you should definitely get your hands on this book. It's really excellent for idea, color inspiration. And if you do a lot of Fair Isle, then you probably already have this in your library, but you should really think about getting it. Because what I was showing you there are just the some of the pages of the samples and the colors, but as you go into in depth with it, she has all of the patterns and things for different motifs as well. So that's that. Highly, highly recommend. So anyhow, what is that doing for my thinking now? Well, hold on. I have to visit Mozart. Now, at the moment, I'm working on the Forest Park Cardigan, which is by, where'd my pattern go? K. Jacobs, I believe? No, K. Hopkins. K. Jacobs is another friend. K. Hopkins, sorry, K, who publishes under Knit for the Soul. So this is the Forest Park Cardigan. This is what it will eventually look like. And here's what mine currently looks like. Oops. Okay. So I've separated for the sleeves. This is the back, by the way, but I'm holding it up this way so that you can see the motif of the trees and the little dashes there. When I wear it, it will be worn like so. I'm not going to put it on right now because it looks like I don't know, a little summery vest at the moment. But anyhow, as you saw in the picture, it will have a very nice shawl collar and a thick button band. And the color work is done entirely in mosaic knitting. And that was fun. I've actually done a little bit that just in the MusiKAL shawl. That was my first time doing mosaic knitting, but this one, all of the color work is done using mosaic knitting, which is done with slip stitches, and you only work one color at a time, so you don't have multiple yarns going at once. So that's kind of nice, and it still creates this really fun, beautiful geometric design, which I'm loving. Really, really loving this. But this didn't start off as being the way that I was going to do it, because you may recall that I bought this as my main color yarn from Rhinebeck, and this was going to be the change color, the alternate color, the motif. And the reason it was going to be these two is because these are loops yin yang yarns, and for this line of yarns, what they have done is taken two skeins where there's 3 plies of brown and 1 of green in here, and this one's the opposite, 3 of green and 1 of brown. So they go together very nicely. They are comprised of the same 2 colors, just in different amounts. So as you can see, they do look very different. But I was very excited to get started on this, but as I kept looking at it, I started to think, is this going to work, or is it just going to seem like a very blurry motif? I started to worry about that. I thought, what to do. And then I was in St. Petersburg visiting the Common Thread yarn shop, and that's when I saw they had a whole selection of loop yin yang yarns as well. And there was this one. So this is the same green, but instead of brown, it has a creamy white color. So very, very similar, but also very different. And I thought, that might be just enough to get it to pop. And this is what I did eventually use. But I did some color swatching to figure that out first. Now that I've thrown things all over the place here, where is my other swatch? Where have you gone? Goodness. Okay. Here we go. Found it. Okay. So I made 2 swatches, blocked them both, played around with the shaping, So here we go. Now, this one here is the one that used the green and brown. This one uses the green and white. And now you can see, I mean, you can see both, right? You can definitely still see this motif here. It exists. But here, it's much crisper and much cleaner. And even though the green is the same, um, what I felt with this one was it felt like the motif is kind of sinking into the background, which could be a very cool effect. Like if I wanted something very understated, where maybe you didn't even see it at first, but then up close a person would go, "Oh, look at that! That's pretty cool." That could work. There's definitely an argument to be made for going with this, but at the end of the day, I thought to myself, I just like the way that it pops a little bit. If you look at the um, samples in the pattern, even though it's black and white, you can see that they are light colored cardigans for the most part with dark motifs. I opted to go dark and have the motif be light. So yeah, I just wanted it to, I wanted it to be seen. So now, if you, for example, were to see this up close again, and if I put this on here like so, if you can see it in the line up with everything else, it's funny on the screen as I'm looking at it, it doesn't look terribly different, but in real life it does. It's another case, I think, where when the light's shining on it, it looks one way versus another. So anyway, if you're looking at that thinking, that looks the same, Stephen, you're going to have to take my word for it, that it really looks very different. And anyhow, so that was a moment where swatching was very important. Getting to see those colors work together was really key. I almost didn't do it. I did this one because I wanted to make sure that I got the right gauge. This was my gauge swatch, but then I thought, better do the other one just to see which one I like better color-wise. That's why this one isn't as big. I didn't need to see how the yarn was going to block out, but I did need to see how the color was going to work. And anyway, I think I made the right choice. I'm really happy with it. And yeah, like I say, I'm about halfway done with the body, maybe a little less than halfway. But then I've got the sleeve still to do as well. And I'm looking forward to wearing this. This yarn, by the way, it is 100% extra fine merino. And I mean, we all know that merino is soft and smooth, but the fabric that this makes, I've just never felt anything as quite as smooth as that. I mean, it almost feels like a superwash yarn, and it's not, according to this. But it's softer and smoother than that too. I don't know how they do it, but it's really, really nice yarn. So I highly recommend trying it out. If you had been thinking about it, you should. Okay, so I think that covers my thoughts and studies on color, but let me make sure. Yeah, for the most part it does. So next, you may remember last time I talked about the Sophie Scarf that I was working on, doing it in Noro. And I was at the point where I was going to start playing Yarn Chicken. And I made an executive decision at that moment. Actually, soon after filming that, I decided I was going to go a whole other route because if I'd made it with just the one skein, it was going to be just a bit too dainty to get around this neck of mine. So I decided I was going to double it. I went online and I got another skein of the Noro in the same colorway, not knowing if it would come out being exactly the same in terms of the color order, but I didn't really care about the color order. It would have been fine if it were not the same color order, as long as it was the same basic colors. But as it happens, it did come in the exact same order. And I made my Sophie scarf twice as long as the pattern calls for and twice as thick. So it's kind of a Sophie scarf on steroids. So here it is, just so you can see the length of it, and the colors. So these colors to me are winter. I mean, it looks like I'm walking through the woods in the Midwest somewhere, and um, yeah, there's little bits of green still hanging out, but mostly whites and grays and browns, and little bits of red in here would be good, but this does not have that. But anyway, it's now quite long, quite snug, and I love it. And I did something really funny. So even though I got the second one, I still ended up playing Yarn Chicken, and I lost. If you see this end here, this one is nice and pointy. It hangs there like an icicle. This one, as you can see, is a little bit of a different shape. That's because I reached a point where I realized, oh, this just isn't going to work out. And I don't know why. I think what happened was probably when I was making the first half, there may have been a time when I was supposed to increase and I didn't. That may have happened twice. So at any rate, I think on the second half, I was more on point with the calculations, but my calculations were off since I'd messed up on the first half. Um, anyway, so yeah, this end ended up being a little thicker. Now it's less obvious, but that's because I blocked it. And this is one of those moments where if you're the type of person like, oh, I don't need to block a scarf or a shawl. Well, in this case, this was like, I don't want to pull on it now and bring it back to its old shape, but it was very wonky and not pretty like that. But it's getting there. It's almost there now. It's kind of equal. Not that anyone's ever going to really notice, but I would have noticed, and it would have bothered me. So now it's all good. It's all good. And there's not a whole lot to say about this. It's the Sophie scarf. It was simple to make. It was done in a matter of 2 or 3 days, maybe 4 days. There was a period of time when I had to wait for the new ball of yarn to show up, but yeah, it's done. I love it. I'm going to be wearing it a lot, although I might give it as a gift. We'll see. I may just wash it again and pass it on to somebody. But yeah, Noro, you can't go wrong. Okay. Now, I think that's it for the knitting. We have reached the end of that portion of the show, but I wanted to tell you, as I said at the beginning, about some other things that I've been involved with recently. The first was that my choir, Master Voices, performed, we put on a production of Marvin Hamlish's musical, called Sweet Smell of Success. If you don't know, Marvin Hamlish is the composer of A Chorus Line and a lot of other famous songs, movie scores, things of that nature. And this was a piece that he wrote in the early 2000s. And it was supposed to, well, not supposed to, it debuted in 2002, I think January of 2002. So it was just sort of months after 9/11. And for those people who were going to the theater at that point in time, going to see a show about, morally bankrupt New Yorkers doing sleazy things to hurt people, that's not really what anybody was in a mood for at that moment in time. As it happens, it's a very interesting piece because it's, a meditation on how not to behave and the consequences of trying to get ahead through your own ruthless ambition. So it's a timeless theme that will always be relevant, but at that period of time, it's just not the kind of thing that somebody wanted to sit through and see. But that meant that it closed early and kind of disappeared. And the creative team behind it had also said that it actually was a bit better when it was in workshops, when it had performed in Chicago in the years before it came to Broadway. And so in our production, our conductor Ted Sperling, he worked with the remaining creative team, which included the playwright, the lyricist. Marvin Hamlish passed away, I think, in 2012, but his wife, I don't know whether she was involved in the creation, but she was definitely there to tell us that she loved it and that he would have loved it. But anyway, um, anyway, he worked with them to create a version of the show that was more in line with what they had initially had, and we performed 3 performances of it, and it was very well received. We got excellent reviews across the board, and some have even said that it might, be worth seeing it staged on Broadway again. Not that we would be in it, but the show's getting a new breath of life, and for me, it's just fun to be part of that. Would I love to be in a Broadway show and quit my day job? And yeah, that'd be great. That's probably not going to happen. Not probably, that's not going to happen. But it's still cool to have been part of the show's life if it does go on to something else. And even if it doesn't go on to a Broadway production, it may take on new life in regional productions. And now that people are talking about it, and Wind will be put out there, that didn't make sense. Word gets out on the wind, something like that. I don't know what I'm saying. Anyhow, yeah. So I was very, very lucky, very proud to have been part of that show. And the other thing to tell you is that I don't know. I really don't know why. Just in this past week or so, I've been motivated to finally learn how to play guitar. And I say finally because I've had a guitar for 20 years. I bought it when I first moved to New York, and I had, grand designs and visions learning to play back in my 20s, but it just never happened. It sat there in my bedroom, my apartment, et cetera, and it's been with me ever since. And I have friends that come over and they will play it, but I just never learned until this week. So I've started to pick it up, and I'm taking the lessons online from Justin Guitar, who has an online beginner's course. And I'm really open if any of you out there play guitar, and if you've learned through videos like YouTube and videos on YouTube, what you have watched and what you found really useful. I would like to know that as well. But through his lessons, I've started with the very basics and worked my way up. And I know my first couple of chords, not that I can switch between them very well. I can do D and A. And today, if I get this edited in time and I have some time to practice, then I'm going to be practicing how to move between the two more quickly. But yeah, it's been a lot of fun. So if you keep watching, perhaps in a few months, maybe I will serenade you with my heartfelt rendition of Landslide, or yeah, probably Landslide. That'll be what I start with. That'll be the first one. Yeah, so stay tuned, and we'll see what happens. All right, I think now that is all. And the clock says that this has been over an hour, so I think that's plenty. That's enough. I will see you all in the days ahead. I'm going to be finishing that cardigan hopefully soon, and I don't even know what's next after that. We'll have to wait and see. All right, take care, everybody. Be well.